Hello, model class receiving students and teachers. Thank you. Take your seats. All right, there is our question for today's recap. What is the main source of energy? In your previous lesson, you completed a table and you listed down some natural sources of energy. What is one main one that you can think of? Receiving students, tell your teacher. Right, good. We'll hear from Moro. Thank you.
Sun.
Thank you. The sun. Moro, keep standing. Give us an example of how energy is supplied.
By giving it to the plant.
Very good. Plants make their food from the sun's energy, and as a result, we, as human beings and animals, can feed from the plants. Right, let's see my answer. So the sun is the main source of energy. Also, we learned that all living things need energy. Can be non-living or living. Our topic for today's lesson, class, let's read together. Good, receiving students and the model class. Other sources of energy is our topic for today's lesson. In your last lesson, you looked at the main sources of energy from nature or natural sources of energy like food, water, sunlight, and wind. Those were the 4 sources of energy. Today we will look at other sources of energy. Now, before you do the activity, there are 2 questions for you to answer, receiving students and the model class. You will answer those questions yourself by thinking about your answers. You will not write the answers down. You will think to yourself because those questions will lead you to today's activity. All right, I will give you 1 minute to quietly read those questions to yourself and answer them on your mind. Don't tell your friends. Then we will go on to our main activity for today. As you answer those questions, you think back to our topic for today, which is sources of energy. Or other sources of energy. All right, hands up if you have answered those questions on your mind and you are happy with your answers. Do you think those questions are very hard? No, they are not hard questions, receiving students and the model class. They're very simple questions for you to answer. Now, thinking about those 2 questions, let's go on to our instruction for today's lesson. Again, I will ask you receiving students and the model class to read quietly. Not loudly, please, quietly. All right, the instructions are similar to your instructions from your previous lesson. Class, we will now copy the table, activity table into our exercise book. All right, I hope you all have copied the table into your exercise book, receiving students and the model class. Right, in today's lesson, you are not going to write the main sources of energy that we have written or you have discussed about in your last lesson. Right, so the chart, the previous lesson's chart that shows the 4 main sources of energy, you will not use those main sources again in today's lesson. Instead, you will think of other sources of energy beside the 4 main sources of energy. All right, I'll take you back to the first 2 questions that you were to answer on your own. And that will help you in your group discussion to find the other sources of energy. Think about your own houses or at your home. Do you think there are some things that are sources of energy? Please list them down in your exercise book. Discuss with your group members and write your answers down. It can be 2, 3, or 4. And when you are finished, we will get answers from the different groups. If you are lost receiving students, your teacher will assist you. For the model class, I can come around and help you to complete your table. Yes. Okay, if I smile, what does that mean? Okay. So smiling means okay. Then that can lead you to other sources of energy. Think about your home. Okay. Rodney, did we think of some? Yes, we are talking good. Okay. Okay, so think about this again. Maybe you're giving an example already, right? Or maybe my thoughts are different from your thoughts. You may be thinking another way around, so think about that again. You think about your house as well, where you come from, or in the village. What do we do in the village? There's some things that we need, or yes, similar to that one, but different sources. There are some other sources that we didn't name yesterday. The ones that we have, sorry, in our last lesson were the main ones are like water, sun, food, air. Okay, now you come back to your own homes or where you live. Some things that, yeah, energy can come to do work, can help us to do work, can we use every day or when we are at home. Okay. No, those, what did I say? I said you only read and answer. Those questions will lead you to completing the table. So think about your village or here in the city. There's some things that we use or we do that supplies energy. Yeah. Like you came to school. How did you come to? You cooked your food. Many things. You are sitting now in the classroom. Did we think of one already? Okay, good. At least you are thinking, yes, in the village. Yeah. How is it supplied? How do this garden food give us energy? Yesterday, in our last lesson, we talked about food. So we will not, but now you're talking about village. Is that right? You're thinking of being in the village. It's not just general food, but your table now you're thinking of. That's right. Okay. I think Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, did we think of one already? Okay, yes. The two questions will help you to think of the other sources of energy. What did you use to prepare your dinner? How did you cook your food? Did you just leave it there to cook, or what happened? Right, and think about energy. Think about energy. Yes, you can go in detail, but there's some other things that you can also use to help you cook your food. Okay. Good, two more to go, right? Okay. Okay. So, did you catch bus or you walk to school? Caught bus. Okay. So, the bus brought you all the way to the bus stop where you were able to walk to school, the closest bus stop to the school. Okay. So, in our last lesson, we talked about food that gives us energy so we can work and play. All right. And we also looked at energy. Without energy, there is no movement. Energy is the ability to do work. Okay, so there are some things that help us to do work that we need to do. Okay, so like for us, not only work, but you can think of other things like you are coming to school. So the bus brought you to school. Okay, so where's the source of energy from the bus? How did that bus actually have its energy to bring you to the school? Something like that. Okay. So you think of the start source, where it came from to then back to your food. Why was your food cooked? I know. All right, so you should be thinking of the source of energy. Where did that energy start from? And why did your food get cooked? If we go back to our answer, how did you arrive at your school? Where did it come from? If you have walked, where did that energy come from to bring you to school? If you have caught a bus to come to school, or you have been dropped off, where did that energy come from? Or if you have paddled the canoe from your village to the school, where is the energy coming from? Okay, I am going to stop you shortly, and we will go through the answers together in class. Receiving students, I hope you have completed or you are about to complete this exercise. Your teacher will help you to present your work to the class. All right, the groups that have maybe, I'm not looking at you to complete the 4. You can have 1, 2, or 3. It doesn't matter so long as you know what you are writing about. We will have any group that is ready to come up now and write down your answer on the chart. Right? Just pick any from your list on the sources, the other sources of energy, and come up and write the example as well. Just one only. Go to the example. Okay, wait. Okay.
By getting a petrol.
Melissa,
Rodney, move this way first and let her write. You complete writing, finish? Okay, good. Give the marker to Rodney. Okay, Rodney, let him write, and then her, and maybe yours will. Okay, she'll write and then you want to make a correction? You want to make a correction? All right, Rodney? Which one are you trying to? Okay. All right, anyone's got a comment to make on the chat? If you think there's something that you want to tell your friends about receiving students, you can do so looking at the model class or your own activity that you have on the board. You can compare your answers with the model class. Anyone's got a comment to make? All right, let's look at the sources. The two questions were only questions that were put for you to guide you into doing the activity. All right, hands up if you agree with diesel. If you have diesel or petrol, put your hands up if your group has thought about diesel or petrol as a source of energy. Give yourself a tick, all right? And it makes the vehicle to move or the truck or the bus to move. If you have no diesel, no petrol, the car will not move, right? So the source of energy is the fuel diesel. Diesel or petrol, they come under this big name called what? Fuels or fuel. Or you can read in other books as fossil fuels, okay? Now, next one, bus by getting petrol. Is the bus the source of energy? Yes or no? Why do you say no? Why? Come on, quickly. Why did you say bus is not a source of energy? Okay, what will make the bus to move? Petrol or fuel, okay? Will make the bus to move. So this group, good try. Maybe you should put petrol on this side and it like what the other group has come up with, fuel. But otherwise, you have tried. Thank you for trying. Next one, we have battery. Very good. Is the source of energy. It gives power for the radio to work, not only radio, other things as well. All right? Good group. And the last group, sorry, not second last, gas stove. Gas is the source of energy. If no gas, your food won't be cooked. And in your village, what do you use? You don't have gas, you don't have power. What do you use? Fire. But how does that fire come up to be fire? Comes from the what? Firewood. Right? Energy comes from the firewood if you are in the village, or even in the city too. Some of us like to cook on the fire. Right? Gas stove is one. Last one, balanced meal. In our last lesson, we looked at food. Do you think balanced meal is one source of energy? All right, yes. It still comes under what? Food. You eat in order to be alive. And if you eat the right kind of food, you'll be smart. All right, let's move on to, sorry, before we move on, receiving students, you have any questions? Model class, any questions with our exercise for today? Okay, two big words, fuel and firewood, battery as another one, and somebody still wants to have food as in balanced meal. Right. Our summary for today's lesson. All right, our key word for today is one source of energy, and that you find in the bush and it's dry and you can use to cook your food. What is it? All right, let's see our key word for today. Firewood, which is one source of energy. Next lesson, energy in what form? And our materials, receiving teachers' pictures if possible. With that, thank you class for participating in today's lesson.